Hey, it's Dixie on the Gamer, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over a really cool game that I have had the privilege of getting into lately, and this is Hogwarts Legacy. And we're going to be doing our typical stock versus overclock test with 1440p and 4K using DLAA and DLSS. With the highest settings. As you can see here, we have everything set to ultra. We are going to be using ray tracing, reflections, ultra quality, ray tracing shadows, and ray tracing AO, and everything is set to its highest preset. And we're going to be using first 1440p. I'll make sure that that is there once we get in. And DLAA to start, no upscaling at the moment. Low latency mode is going to be off. No VSync. We're going to be uncapped on frame rate, so we can just get as much as we can. And the rest of the settings are left by themselves. So let's get into the game and see what we can do with the 5080 and the 9800X 3D. Let's go. All right, and we are going to start our benchmark and tests just by getting a feel for how everything looks. And just for starters, the gameplay does feel smooth, and this game does have a bit of latency effect when you are jumping around and hitting the buttons. I'm not 100% sure why. But anyway, PC latency is about 48 to 50 milliseconds right now. Just hit 56 milliseconds. So that's kind of the upper range of what I would consider as smooth gameplay. Frame rate sitting at about 60, 70 frames a second. VRAM usage. I was actually pretty shocked to see that it's under 10 gigs. Well, let's just call it 10 gigs, 9900. There we go, 10 gigs. And temps are good. GPU wattage looks okay. And again, this is 1440p DLAA, and I did use the DLSS-4, the latest version of it. The game does have DLSS-4 now. It's been updated as such. But so far so good. The latest version does clean up a little bit of that ghosting that you do get with just DLAA. I think DLSS-Quality cleans that up a bit even further. So yeah, 1440p, sitting around doing nothing really in the background. So what I'm going to do for starters is I'm just going to get a static image, and we're good with this right here. So we lock the frame rate. Frame time is pretty stable, 85 frames a second. We're just going to call it that. And what I'm going to do is apply our overclock, 375 core, 2000 VRAM, 115 power limit, and we're going to see what it comes up with. All right, and so we are back, and we are climbing still, and we went from about 84 frames a second to we looked like we hit 88 there for about a second or two. And yeah, not a huge gain as far as frame rate. So, you know, this is one of those titles where overclocking doesn't do all that much, and at least in 1440p. But from 84 to 88, I'll have the percentage gain on screen. And latency it looks like it's basically the same. So, you know, it didn't really improve latency that much either. It is using a lot of system RAM, which is, you know, something that is well known for this game. It's 22 gigs of system RAM. That is huge, and I know this game has been you know, updated a bunch, and it's still using a ton of system RAM. So, you know, the days of 16 gig gaming PCs are definitely long and dead, just like 8 gigabyte VRAM cards, hint hint. So yeah, definitely don't want to have that bottleneck in these days with gaming. Oh, just had a little frame drop right there. But the textures look sharp. The faces look sharp as well. If I were to pick somebody to talk to, I don't think there's anyone to talk to in this scene here. I already talked to her, as I should have. Yeah, that's the girl from Uganda. And yeah, everything looks good so far. So definitely want to increase the frame rate here. Yeah, we're dipping down into the 40s and 50s now. I guess that's that ray tracing that's taking effect. So what we're going to do is turn on DLSS-Quality, and we are going to see what that does to our frame rate and our image. Stay tuned. All right, so we are back, and we are now using DLSS-Quality. Frame generation is still off, and everything else is the same. I am going to be using the sharpness slider to 0.3. Don't want it to be too sharpened, but that is what I do enjoy with my eyes at 1440p. And so let's get into the game. All right, so we are back in game. Let's get our overlay up here. And so now we are looking, to be perfectly honest, I don't see that much change in the frame rate. Our latency did go down, so it's in the lower 40s. Yeah, so that does feel a little bit more responsive. It just spiked up to 50 there. So yeah, not really much change from DLAA to DLSS. But if you look at our GPU power, it's only at 176 watts. So I'm kind of confused at what's going on there. Maybe it's the scene or something. But VRAM usage is still roughly the same. We're using more system RAM now, 23 gigs of RAM. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me just make sure I activated DLSS. Yeah, it's definitely on there. Yeah, it's definitely on there. So anyway, DLSS-Quality, let's put the sharpening down to 0. See if that works, or if that helps anything here. All right, sharpening down to 0, and not really getting too much difference here. Looks like GPU power is down even more. So yeah, stranger things, right? So anyway, what we're going to do is let's see if I can look at this image here of the wall, and we're going to go down to DLSS balanced on 1440p to see if we can keep the same image quality and the same frame rate here. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this scene here and get into something that looks a little bit better. Yeah, let's go inside here. Yeah, so I want to get into that area where there's like a marble floor where you can see some good ray tracing. I hope I'm going the right way for that. I don't think I am. And it looks like our frame rate jumped tremendously here, which is interesting to say the least. Yeah, now we're in the 150, so maybe that area is just a huge bottleneck for something. Maybe it's system RAM bottleneck, I don't know. Our CPU didn't seem to be anywhere near max, but hey, whatever the case is. So now, yeah, we are definitely flying now. Our PC latency is only at 25 milliseconds, and yeah, you see the faces, they look good. The NPCs, they obviously don't have as much detail as our main character here. And ghosting doesn't seem to be too much of an issue right now, and that was one of the things I really wanted to see, because with native DLAA you can still see it. It's definitely not pleasant at all. Okay, so let's get out of here. So what we're going to do is switch over to balanced and see if we can protect our image quality. All right, and we are back now at DLSS balanced, and yeah, things are still looking pretty good. I am starting to see a little bit of shimmering, especially with the books here. It's nothing terribly distracting, but with quality, it wasn't there before. And frame rate went from 160 up to 170 or so, around that much. Besides that, images still look good. The glass looks good here, and yeah, everything looks really stable. PC latency is down to 23 milliseconds, and a really snappy performance. Yeah, like I said before, there's still a little bit of a delay here as far as like when you hit the buttons, and I can see a little bit of ghosting right there. I guess that's just something we're just gonna have to live with for this game. And yeah, so I'm learning that Hogwarts Legacy, I can look at that tree here and see that the detailing is very, very high quality. What I was going to say is Hogwarts Legacy just seems to have varying levels of, you see, look, the GPU power goes down to 160 watts. I don't know what's going on with that, honestly. System RAM, again, it's going up higher than before. But nevertheless, things are looking smooth, except for this area here. It's just incredible how you can go from 70 frames a second to 170 just by going into another room. How crazy is that, right? So, anyways, we are going to just move along here, and now we are going to go to 4K. To do the same test, stock versus overclocked, and I'm going to just stick it right here. And we're going to do our test from this vantage point here, see if I can lock the frame rate here. Come on. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. All right, and we are going to start off with our 4K benchmark settings. We've gone back to DLAA, 100% rendering resolution. No upscaling at the moment. Everything else still on ultra. And let's get into the game. Alright, so we are back, and now as you can see walking around this section here, we are going down into the 40s and even the 30s. So there's definitely something going on with this section of the game. And watch, as soon as I get out of here and go into a different area, we spike up to the 50s. And so this is the GPU breaker room. I'm just gonna call it that. Let's check our latency here to see what we have going on. And so latency is pretty high. We are up in the 40s, 50s. He's spiking at 60 now. And definitely not a silky smooth experience on 4K with everything turned up. But this is kind of something that we see happening all the time now. We see these high-end GPUs. They just get broken at 4K, and I think we really have to have a heart-to-heart conversation with ourselves because 4K is no joke. That we're talking about 8.3 million pixels on your screen. The GPU's got to fill all that, and it's also got to use ray tracing on all of that. It's not exactly an easy task. And then on top of that, if you want to go into path tracing, that's even more work for the GPU. So anyway, I digress. It's definitely a conversation for the books. So we're going to start in this room here just to get our baseline performance, staring at the wall or something. And we are locked in, what is that, 73, 72 frames a second, 288 watts, 2850 megahertz on the clock. VRAM usage is now at 11 gigs. For 4K, that's really good. And system RAM usage is almost at 24 gigabytes. Wow. CPU is not working too much. We're at 15% usage, temp 55 Celsius, 51 watt power output. Frame time looks good though. At least we're not getting too much of a spike here. Not much going on, just some enchanted pictures or something. But anyways, this is our baseline, so we're at 72, 73. Let's use our overclocking settings to see what we can get out of this. All right, so we are back, and we went up to 79 frames per second, which I believe is over 10%. So I'm going to give it that. I'll have the exact percentage change in the bottom of the screen. So yeah, that's really good that you can consistently get that much from just turning up your sliders. So GPU Power output is now looking a little better. It's in the 300s. Before it was in the 200s. If it's in the 200s on DLAA, something's going on. That's usually DLSS upscaling stuff. So let's go back out to the room of death here. And yeah, it's killing the GPU for sure. But hey, anyways, we're gonna take that to the bank, and now what we can do is I'm gonna go back into this room again because that other room just borks everything, and I'm gonna turn on DLSS-Quality, and we're gonna see what that does to our image stability and our frame rate. All right, so we are back with 4K DLSS-Quality, and let's see what we got going on here. All right, so we did get a good frame rate boost. Now we're over the 100 frames a second mark in this hall here. Image stability looks really good. But yeah, then we still got a little bit of ghosting here. I guess there's nothing really much that's going to be done about it. It's just another form of TAA in this game, I think. And I know even while using DLSS4, there are just some instances where you're just going to have to deal with that sticky ghosting. Let's go out to the room of death here to see, where is it? Yeah, let's go out to the room of death. Oops, wrong room. Actually, let's go here for a second. Okay, yep, those books over in the corner here. Yeah, you can still see a little bit of aliasing going on, even at DLSS-Quality with 4K. So, although that could be due to my monitor's refresh rate as well. All right, so we're going to go to another room here. The room of death. Where are you? Where are you? What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the upscaling a little bit further to DLSS balance just to see what that does to our quality and frame rate. So I'll catch you in a second. All right, so we are back, and now we are at DLSS balanced, and we did tack on a bit more on the frame rate. So that's great, and we are still looking as stable as we were before. So nothing, no loss in quality from what I can tell, from just looking at different textures and things, or looking at the character himself. So that's all well and good, and yeah, this is a pretty smooth experience. I wouldn't use frame gen at this point. I would recommend, just if you want to use 4K, use DLSS balanced, and then you'll have a pretty good experience with that. So as we continue to work around here, I'm going to see if I can find another room that was close to the room of death. And so I will meet you there. Oh, I'm back at the room of death, guys. So yeah, we are here, and yeah, look at the frame rate. It's almost like nothing happened. We're down to the 60s again, down to 62 frames a second from what were we at, like 150, 140, 150 with DLSS balanced. The image quality is still there. So even at that rock that's in the farther away from the screen, you can still see the texture is pretty good on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on frame generation and see what kind of wickedness it does to the image quality in this room. See you there. All right, so we are starting out at DLSS-Quality frame gen 2 at 4K, and yeah, didn't need to restart the game. That's awesome. All right, so here we are, and wow, look at that. Okay, so very first thing I noticed at the top of the screen, I do see like a weird shading type of ghosting effect. I don't know. There's definitely something there. And yeah, I can see a little bit of ghosting as the character runs around in a circle, looking to the left of the main character's head. You can see just a little bit of an outline there. And yeah, that's definitely a frame gen thing. So probably don't need frame gen in this game. It's probably happening because the main FPS is just low in that room. And okay, so we're back in here now, and yes, so now we're getting what, 180 frames a second. Let's see if I can see it now. I can't even really see that effect anymore. It's completely gone. Yeah, so that room is just a room of wickedness for GPUs. Don't know what's going on there. Even at native, the GPU is like falling asleep or something, and yeah. But frame gen looks great. So at 184 frames a second at 4K, DLSS quality, ultra settings. I'm gonna call this a win right here. If I can click on latency. All right, so our latency is at 30 milliseconds. So that is really good. And yeah, this is a smooth experience. This is definitely a win. Usually with frame generation, you have to kind of watch latency when you have all your settings up. But no, everything is a win here for that. And I'll take it. I'll take it all day. 27 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds. You guys can't see it because Shadowplay doesn't show the OSD from NVIDIA for some strange reason. And recording in OBS just doesn't work for me for my purposes. So I'll take that as a win. But dare we try even higher with FrameGen 3X? So let's see what happens there. All right, now we're at FrameGen 3X DLSS-Quality. Really no need to take it down to balance at this point. Don't want to sacrifice any image quality. And okay, so yeah, I can definitely tell the image looks a little bit softer now than it did before, for sure. And just running around the circle, I'm going to see if I can see that ghosting effect. Not really. It's about the same as it was for 2X, but they're just so slightly ever more softening of the textures here. I guess you can adjust that in this game with the sharpness slider, and you're at 200 plus frames a second. Now there's really no need to do 4X frame gen at this point. I think 4X is just kind of too much as far as latency and everything. So let's check latency, by the way.
Revelio.
And our latency now is still pretty good. It's at actually 30 milliseconds, 26 milliseconds for 3X frame gen. That's really good. I'm actually very surprised to see that. So just slightly softening of the textures, and it's not too terrible, but you can definitely notice it if you basically camp the middle of the screen and you pixel peep. All right, back in the room of death here. I can see this tree is ever so slightly, and I mean super slightly. It's almost hard to see. So FrameGen 3X is definitely a good way to max out your frame rate there. But now, as I move the character in a circle, now I'm seeing a little bit more of the ghosting that I've had before, because this is a room of death, and in the room of death, all kinds of wickedness happens to GPUs. So it's not terrible. I'll just say that it's not terrible. I'm looking at the screen intently right now. It's not terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. So dare I say, let's go up to FrameGen 4X and see what we can do here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are at 4 times frame generation with DLSS-Quality, and let's see what that does to our game. Okay, so we are back at the room of death, and the tree here, yeah, a little bit softer on the textures now. I can start to see it a little bit. But besides that, our frame time is looking kind of wild. Yeah, it's 41, 45 milliseconds. Yeah, the math ain't mathing on that one, because you should not have 167 second frame rate with 22 millisecond frame time. As far as latency, I'm going to get that for you right now. 45 milliseconds in the room of death, which is good. That's good. I would say that's good actually. And I bet you if I go away from this room here, yeah, let's see what we can get now. All right, yeah, so 33 milliseconds. It's going up to 30, 39, 50, but yeah, look at the frame rates, 279, almost 300 frames a second here. So, and let me see if I can see that effect outside of the, yeah, I'm starting to see that effect now. It's super slight though. It's really slight. It's super slight. Just looking at the screen moving around him, it doesn't look distracting or anything. So, you know, you might be able to get away with it. But frame gen does look pretty good in this game. Not all games get you a good experience with frame gen, for sure. Cyberpunk, you do get some issues if you go past 2x. But in this game, it kind of all looks like they blur it in pretty good. They do some kind of trickery here, and it does give you a really good frame rate. But the Room of Death here is going to be the testament to basically everything. And hey, that's what it is. So definitely a good 4K experience. With 1440p, you can use DLSS-Quality with 2x frame gen and just call it a day. Really no need to go too much further than that. And yep, so what I'm going to do is keep it at frame gen 2x, just for the sake of the lowest possible artifacting and ghosting. You can see that guy walking across the screen. He definitely had a ghost trail. So yeah, let's kick it down to 2x. All right, so yeah, we are back at frame gen 2x, and I can definitely tell, yeah, you see there's a little bit less ghosting as these characters move by now. The textures do look a little more higher quality, a little sharper. Let's go to the Room of Death here, and yeah, that tree looks a little sharper as well. Rocks in the background look sharper, even the characters do as well. 120 frames a second at 4K, you know, there was a point in time where we considered that to be perfection with the highest quality settings. I don't know, nowadays I'm seeing people say, hey, we should be doing 200 frames a second at 4K. Yeah, I don't think we even have the materials in the world that can consistently do that on a, you know, with the highest settings, with path tracing, ray tracing, whatever the case. Silicon just can't do it right now. And, you know, it's either we just don't move the needle with the newest releases of GPUs, or we just refine these software hacks and synthetic frames, things of that nature, to where our eyes can't tell the difference. You know, I do think the companies that made monitors are gaslighting all of us by releasing 4K 360 hertz or 240 hertz monitors. You can't feel that refresh rate with native frame rates with the hardware that we have now. You just can't do it, and it won't be done for years. So, you know, take that stuff with a grain of salt with these claims of super high refresh rate 4K experience and all that. All right, yeah, let's take it a step at a time. Once we get there, we'll get there. All right, so anyway, enough of me yapping about that. Let's just enjoy the game.
What about the room, Professor?
I was thinking the same thing, Deke. Perhaps you could help.
Oh, excuse, Deke.
Ah, there you are. I trust your first classes went well?
They did, Professor.
I heard as much from Professors Hecat and Ronan. Seems Professor Fig taught you quite a bit during your brief detour near... what was it you said? Some ruins? I'd wager there's a good deal more to your travels here than what you've told me. Isn't there?
Nothing more, Professor.
I see. Like trying to get a sonnet from a streeler. Regardless, you must continue to build upon what you've learned. In that regard, I've asked your professors to help hasten your progress with some extra assignments.
I'm not sure I have time for extra assignments, Professor.
You shall find the time. You'd be astonished to know just how much you don't know. In fact, Professor Ronan will meet you outside momentarily to assign your first one. Now, regarding the trip to Hogsmeade I mentioned earlier, we've arranged to replace the supplies lost on your way here, including seeds, potion recipes, and spellcrafts.
Thank you, Professor.
And Mr. Ollivander will connect you with the perfect wand. You've managed your classes well with a borrowed wand, but you'll find the magic you cast with your own wand to be far superior.
I've never heard of a spellcraft before, Professor. What is it?
A spellcraft is a recipe of sorts used when conjuring objects. I shall explain more about them when you begin working with transfiguration magic.
I'm eager to get to Hogsmeade.
Very well. I'd like you to make your first visit to the village with a classmate. Help you get your bearings. Perhaps Sebastian Sallow or Natsai Onai. I've noticed you spending time with them.
I'd like to go with Natty.
Excellent choice. Miss Onai is one of our most talented students. And she knows the area. She'll keep you well clear of any of Victor Rookwood's undesirables en route.
Rookwood?
A rather unsavory local. Best to avoid him and his associates, including his right hand of sorts, Theophilus Harlow, if you can. Once you've finished Professor Ronan's assignment, your friend will meet you at the castle doors. No time to waste. The sooner you complete your work, the sooner you can enjoy a butterbeer at the Three Broomsticks.
Alright guys, I just noticed ray reconstruction was not on, and I was kind of wondering why. Yep, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that shimmering is gone now, and definitely looks a lot better, a lot more stable on the image quality. Anyway, let's continue. Still can't do anything about the river depth.
There you are.
You have a new spell to teach me, Professor.
Indeed I do, and an exceedingly useful one at that. The mending charm, Reparo. Fixes things right up, makes a broken object good as new in the blink of an eye.
It seems as if that might come in handy.
More frequently than one would imagine. As Professor Weasley mentioned, I am not the only one who will be teaching you spells outside of class in an effort to catch you up with your peers. A number of your professors have agreed to do so as well, but first, each shall ask that you complete a few preliminary tasks to hone your magic. I have arranged some for today. See them through and then report back to me. We will have you casting Reparo in no time.
Why must I first complete tasks to learn Reparo?
No lesson or lecture can compare to first-hand experience, and these tasks should provide you with just that. Such experience is invaluable when mastering any new bit of magic.
I'll start on the task right away, Professor. This is the right area. I wonder where the flying page is. Accio! Got it. A flying page must be around here somewhere. Revelio.
Don't get too simplistic.
Brilliant.
I trust the preliminary tasks weren't too much.
I completed the assignments, Professor.
Marvelous. You clearly know your way around basic charms. Let us give the old mending charm a try then, shall we? Remember to be deliberate in your enunciation and movements. I want to see some vigor. Now, wand at the ready.
Yes, sir.
Remember, your wand is a conduit of your magic. That's it! Very good. If you would like to practice mending something, have a go with that broken statue in the alcove by the water. It allegedly symbolized heartbreak. Perhaps a jilted lover thought it too accurate and lashed out.
Reparo.
I love switching spells. But my brother's tricky.
Hello, looking for me?
Natty, I hope I haven't kept you waiting long.
Not at all. Professor Weasley tells me that you need to go to Hogsmeade. You must be eager to have your own things again. And to see the village.
I've been looking forward to it.
Good. Shall we set off? I intend to give you a first-rate Hogsmeade experience. I was glad Professor Weasley asked me to accompany you.
Really?
Yes, I had planned to extend an invitation to you myself. I thought you might enjoy a butterbeer in the village. The timing of Professor Weasley's owl was perfect. I cannot tell you how nice it is to breathe fresh air after being cooped up in ancient ruins. Grave mistake to take it as an elective class, believe me.
I believe you.
Though I suppose you would not really call it elective when your mother was the one who elected that you take it.
Thanks again, guys, for sticking around for this video presentation. I hope you guys got some value out of it. Please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. And I will be trying to pump out as much content as possible,
Not much for
time
the gold,
allowing. Leave me a critique,
I do not
troll
mind the
me,
code so
leave me
much,
some love.
but
It's
it
all
has
good.
taken some
See
getting
y'all in the
used
next
to.
one. Peace.
I did not grow up around snow. Oh, wait, over here. I often spot lacewing flies in this area.
Oh? What's so special about them?
They are interesting to look at.